yo, bucking, bucking, like a mechanical bull, bucking, wow, bucking, a good night, like money is full. Look at that horse, look at that horse, look at that horse. CSL, all natural, running on horse. Bucking, whoa, bucking, a good night, whoa, yeah. Patience is thin, your hormones is right at the rim. It was just going in, fuck it, do it again. AOT, why I ain't win? I ain't stunned by them. Say that shit on the chin, come back and fuck up the pen. Say the things that I know will offend. Wear that shit that I know start a trend. Take the Bugatti out for the spin. Ain't no top filler with on my skin. Ooh, spit something thin. They listen to listen to them. They fight every once and again, but it gets stomped on when we bucking, whoa, bucking, like a mechanical bull, bucking, whoa, bucking, a good night, flow where the money is full. Look at that horse, look at that horse, look at that horse. Pretty as hell, all natural, and on horse. Bucking, whoa, bucking. They yank you the chain, promise the things that they can't. You the man of the bank, it's your reason you hate. It's the runway I'm late. I got pictures of tape. It's in my DNA. Look at my mom, it's the same things that I know will offend. Wear that shit that I know start a trend. Say that Bugatti out for the spin. Ain't no top pillow win on my skin. Bucking, like a mechanical bull.
What is up, y'all? What's good? We got a lot to talk about. First of all, it's a snow day in Atlanta, and it seems like the whole world is on fire. I know what's going on out in LA. More than thoughts and prayers out to those people. I have posted some resources in my Instagram. If you can lend a mutual hand with some money, a donation, buying something, please do so to help those that are affected by the fires that are going on in LA and the surrounding cities and counties. There's something going on a little bit of everywhere. And right now, it just feels like everything is burning, right? And me being the creator, the writer, the thinker, the genius, the innovator, the bad bitch behind 400 Degrees of Erotic Funk, I was like, hey, yo, you got to get on and you got to talk about some of this shit because it's a way for me to, one, process, two, give my opinion, my critique of what I'm observing, and three, it's got to be a part of the archive because too often conversations are happening on Instagram, on Reddit, in real life, in people's DMs, in people's private stories. And those conversations seem to become echo chambers because they don't make it out to the public, or they get forgotten about, or you only get one side because somebody put it in their highlights and then the other person never gets to defend themselves. Right, cool. So I want to start just by triggering the whole conversation and starting stuff off right and petty and in the way that I would, because it's a fire going on and why not go ahead and just set it off. Yeah. So last month, I don't even know if it was last month at this point, I forgot when it was, but I think it was last month. There was a human being who directly called me out for blocking them. And they had some choice words for me. And I would like to share that. I am sharing these choice words with the intention of using these choice words as a way to critique, to provide my opinion, and to be very critical about the way that this whole thing that people call the pole community is unfolding, unraveling, and on fire. Excuse me. So at the bottom there, you see that copyright disclaimer down there because I will be sharing media from different people I do not claim to know what's on their mind, what their intentions were, what their truths are. All of it is alleged, and this is my commentary and opinion about it. So let's go. Okay, so let's go ahead and just show y'all the inception of kind of where maybe I got dragged into to be wanting to talk about this sort of shit. I'm gonna show you a video. I'm gonna put it here on the screen.
I'm trying to tell y'all. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all. I don't know who that is. I really don't. I had to go on because not only this go out of her way to. She blocked my pro page. She went out of her way to find my Muggle page. How you even found that? I don't know. Because I went to that page and because I was like, who is this person? And I really only said, who is this person? Because I know someone who tagged her on some hot velour.
Now, just I'm gonna come in and out of this video, to be very honest with y'all, because we have to like break this down. Okay, we got to break it down. Particularly because I want to address some things that were said in the video. Okay, so
I'm trying to tell y'all. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all.
Let's start over.
I don't know who that is. I really don't. I had to go on because not only this go out of her way to. She blocked my pro page. She went out of her way to find my Muggle page. How you even found that? I don't know. Because I went to that page and
okay, stop. Let's stop right there. So when you block someone on Instagram, Instagram has a feature to where whatever Instagram pages that person has, it's going to block all of them. That is a safety feature that Instagram introduced. So if I block someone, I don't have to go looking for all of their Muggle pages or all of their burner pages or their professional pages. I don't have to go looking for anybody's pages. If I block you on one account and that account is tied to multiple accounts, you get blocked on all of them. So just FYI, if y'all needed to know, if you ever are a part of the Detective FBI group or a part of the burner, like you got a burner, use a different email if you want to be able to look at pages that got you blocked. Okay. Just pro FBI tip number 1. Okay. So let's continue.
Like, who is this person? And I really only said, who is this person? Because I know someone who tagged her on some hot velour. And I was like, wait, I can't see the tag.
Yeah, that's correct. Even though me and this person may have mutuals and they saw that I was tagged, once you're blocked, you cannot access me. Yeah, that's fair, right? Yeah, that's fair.
I can't see the tag, so I went to my Muggle page. I can't see the tag over there. So I went to a third page that I got because I'm like, who is this? I still don't know who this is.
So, admittingly, this person went to a third page that they had, probably a burner that's not tied to the other page, to find out supposedly who I am.
This is what I'm trying to say. I was looking at a page. She got 10 plus years, she said, in marketing and whatever. And
that is true. I have 10 plus years in marketing. What does that mean? It just is what it is. Okay, let's continue. Oh shit, let's go up here.
I'm trying to say, I was looking at a page. She got 10 plus years, she said, in marketing and whatever, and pole. And that's what I'm trying to say. For people who come into the pole community and they new and they like, oh, whatever, and you just blocking, like, I don't.
I'm so sorry. This person is going to go on to say it's my page and I can do what I want, and that's the truth. I'm actually not sorry, but that's the truth. It's my motherfucking page. I can do whatever the hell I want to do, right? I can do whatever I want to do. And regardless if you're new to the community, old, OG, I don't, there's no precedent in terms of who gets a block. If I feel the need to block you, regardless of if you've done anything to me or not, if I feel the need, I'm gonna do it. Regardless if you're a great person or not, regardless if you're the scum of the earth or not. It's my right. Okay, let's continue.
Don't know who you are. It's the more seasoned.
You don't got to know who I am for me to block you. I have Black Girls Pole blocked. I have Sammy Pacone blocked. I have a lot of the pole celebrities and pole stars and pole organizations. I have PoleCon blocked. I have so many people are a part of the block list on Performance Temple for things that they probably aren't even aware of. I have people blocked that I dance styles I love, but just don't want them inundating my feed at any point in time. I don't want to see them pop up in my suggestions. I don't have to have a reason to use the block function. Let's continue. Let's let them finish.
People, I feel like, who be on this rah-rah, and then it's like,
I am on that rah-rah. Sure is.
y'all don't be having no conversations.
I don't be having conversations. No, I don't have conversations with people I got blocked. You right. I have conversations, but I don't have conversations with people that I have blocked. So let's continue.
Want to fight. So what is it?
I do fight, but that's neither here nor there. I try not to because I'm absolutely grown, and I try to use the block function rather than beat a bitch ass. That's what that's there for, like therapy, tools to help you to deal with things that get on your nerves and that, incite you to violence, right? Right. Okay, cool. I'm just here commentating on this. Yeah.
What is it? Y'all just be blocking people just for the fuck of it. I mean, hell.
Yeah, actually.
It's your page. You can do what you want.
Yes. I'm glad that we agree there.
To do with it, but at the same time, y'all be having these platforms and these shows and these showcases.
I can have a platform and a show and a showcase. I am still an individual. Me, Ashley, the individual, is a contributor and collaborator with other individuals who created the Hot Velour platform. That platform also has the right to exercise its liberties in who gets to have access to it. This person was not blocked by the Hot Velour platform. So why is Hot Velour in it? This is me. This is personal. This is a direct conversation with the individual, right? And I think people have life and bullshit mixed up, because I think that people believe that everyone wants to be an influencer. Everybody wants to be followed. Everybody wants to have followers. Everybody wants to be a pole celebrity. Everybody wants to have some sort of grandiose platform. I'm not one of those people. Actually, I just exist as who I am and who I be. And if people choose to follow me, they're not following me because I am a brand. They just fuck with me as a person, an individual. You heard me? Okay, let's continue. Let's keep going.
And you want everybody, to come together and support.
I don't actually. This is Ashley speaking, Ashley the individual. I don't want everybody to come together and support, because I'm very aware that there are people out there who do not like what I stand for and who I am. They don't like the color of my skin. They don't like my genitals. I very much am not a kumbaya. Everybody should hold hands together and be included. We'll get to that later, because this video is endemic of a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about today. And it includes me, and it drags me into this, and I'm glad to be dragged into it, because then I can have an opinion and I get to talk about it. And that's what we're doing right now. So let's finish it off.
Dancers, support sex workers, support people going through trauma and healing it. Y'all,
I support my friends that are going through trauma and healing, because those are intimate relationships. Strangers, the most support that I can give strangers on their trauma and healing journey is to give them resources to get help, or to help them, which I will do also in this video.
It's causing additional trauma.
So blocking people causes additional trauma. This is what this person equates their experience of finding out that they were blocked by me. They equated it to a trauma triggering experience.
And be like, oh, why people don't like me.
Well, so that is a lot. But I think that this video that this person posted is very endemic of a lot of what is happening right now in the pole community, particularly in different regions and also in the globalized region, which we call social media. Okay, so I just want to use that as a lead in as we talk about some of the hot topics and hot posts that I feel like have been floating around that I have been getting messages about for the last maybe, I don't know, month. So this person who posted this is a part of a local community in the South. And recently, this community, in-person community, went through a shift because of the behavior of a pole studio ownership that led to a mass exodus of people who are patrons of that studio and also instructors at that studio. And so these instructors and these patrons are now having to find other ways to enjoy and to make money. And from an instructor's perspective, make money. And that's a hard thing to deal with. Whenever you are displaced, and you don't have anywhere to go, you feel exiled, you feel abandoned, you feel othered. All of these things, all those emotions can trigger things. I'm pretty sure people in LA who are experiencing the fires are experiencing some of these same emotions of being exiled and life not being fair. Yeah, it is what it is. Life is not fair. And like I said, y'all can go into my Instagram stories, Performance Temple, and get those resources to support people who are being affected by those fires out in the West. But I specifically want to talk about these metaphysical fires out in social media and in other local and regional communities. And these conversations that are cyclical, these conversations about strippers versus recreationalists, or what the term people use are hobbyists or civilians, the instructors versus students, the students who want to be instructors or influencers, or just there are so many titles and identities that are floating around that are politicized in this community that we often every 30 days are having the same conversations. And at what point do we stop feeding the trolls in a sense that we actually get to struggling? Because like one of my favorite theorists, writers, radicals, Jared Ball says, peace, but only if you're willing to struggle for it. At what point do we begin to actually struggle for the things that we desire instead of simply trying to start conversations about them, issuing out apologies, doing call outs? What happens when we call in? That's what this is. That's what this live is about. It's about calling in. So I want to actually throw some things up here. And I want to talk about them. I want to talk about them. The first thing that I want to talk about, sort of drawing direction from the video that I just showed y'all about people getting triggered by being blocked by me, is these ideals, belief systems around inclusion and what it means to be around the apparatus of a pole. So I am going to put on the screen here a post that got everybody's panties in a bunch. Okay. This is the post. Now, it's a meme. This meme looks like it's old as hell. Like old as hell. Being a pole dancer is not being a slut. clearly a whorephobic, slut-shaming ass meme. My people, critical thinking is a gift. Posts like these often trigger people to begin to use their platforms to use their usernames to speak out about the things that are also triggering them and to provide their commentary, opinion, feedback to possibly, I don't know what people's motivations are, but some of them are to enlighten folks, to advocate for a certain marginalized group, to advance their own thought leadership, their own influence. Yeah. Okay. So, I just want to the train of thought when it comes to whether or not you decide to engage in this sort of discourse or to comment on these sort of posts that clearly either they aligned with your ethos or they are completely far left, far removed from what you believe. You cannot hold anyone accountable who does not give you consent to hold them accountable. It, it's one of these things that I feel like when it comes to the internet and activism and advocacy and calling people out, like we tend to forget that unless someone has some sort of stake in your livelihood, your life, your relationships, calling someone out and expecting them to be accountable for their behavior rarely works. Most people double down. Most people double down. And in the case of this post right here, I find it fascinating the number of people who engaged the post, who commented on the post, who liked the post, who gave the post even further reach and attention. Why am I surprised? I'm surprised because this particular account, if I can, do what I need to do over here. This particular account, Poll Champs, is a meme account. It's a meme account. It's not even someone's personal page. This is one of those content farming pages that basically probably is getting paid to post certain things. It's faceless. There's no personality behind this account. They just post stuff. They post memes because pole dance is a lucrative industry at this point. How do we know that? Well, let's go see. Let's go see. And let me just show you that you don't have to be involved with pole dance to know that pole dance is a very lucrative thing that's happening right now. Let me switch my share, John, so that y'all can see the trend. We like data, right? Data. This right here is Google Trends. Google Trends tells you over time the interest of a thing. So what are people Googling and how interested is the population? I just set the parameters to worldwide. I put in the search term pole dance, and this is the graph that we see here. As you can see, from January 9th to even today, like the interest in pole dance is going up. Let's do the past year, past 12 months. You can see the interest in pole dance over time completely shooting up from December to January, shooting up. Let's do the past 5 years. Let's look at the past 5 years. We've got a big spike here. We've got spikes during obviously during the pandemic, this was like pole dance was crazy. We've got a drop off, and we've got pole dance sort of kind of going up and down over the last 5 years, right? And I think that this is see 2004 to present. This is the graph for 2004 to present of the search term pole dance. This is January 2004. This is December 2024. So we've got 20 years of data here. At the peak, pole dance was popular 10 years ago, 2014. We have another peak here in February 2020 during the pandemic. I just want to call some things out and to say that pole dance has evolved in the past 10 years. And one of the pinnacle points of evolution was the pandemic, because pole dance no longer became localized to geographic regions. Although there were pole dancers that posted online, much of it wasn't exposed to mass media and popular culture. It was still a very intimate, small knit community, even as they were sharing online. During the pandemic, that blew everything open. People started posting on TikTok. We had time, we had access to internet, and so pole dance became another popular cultural phenomenon media-wise. You had the advent of, or the premiere of P-Valley, a television show on Stars that centered around the lives of strippers in the South, in a fictional town in Mississippi, right? So you have all of these media, you get during the pandemic, you get all of these media outlets talking about pole dance, interviewing pole dancers, people talking about the wellness aspect of it. I think also in 2020, Netflix released a documentary that featured some pole dancers out in California. So like, media is also driving a lot of the conversation and a lot of the interest in this very niche activity, right? So amongst all those things, we have all of the cultural and all of the regional and all of the ethnic, the traditional, different traditions, all of these nuances happening. And then you have the globalization of pole dance on a media platform like TikTok and Instagram, which at the same time are going through their own revolutions with the desire economy of influence and people being able to make money off of their posts, and people being able to create opportunities just from their likeness. So all of this is happening at the same time, right? I think a lot of what we miss in trying to call people out, or even what we decide to give attention, is we insert ourselves where we don't need to be inserted. That post about, the horophobic post, at this point in the game, y'all, why is that getting attention from a page that is not a personality, not an organization, not anything but a meme page? It's a meme page. Why? And I think that's a question that everybody needs to sit with, who either commented on it, shared it, decided they wanted to post it in their stories and like go off about it, to use it as a parlay to whatever cause they had. Like, why? Why was it important to give that post steam? Just a question. So another post came to my awareness recently, and it's about copying. And I we might spend a little time here. We might just spend a little time with this one, because I have a lot of critique and commentary when it comes down to copying. Okay, so let's look at it. Let's watch it together. We're gonna watch it together. Okay.
To copy the right way.
Okay, so if y'all don't know who this is Svetlana. I will put their information where you can watch the original of this video, either in the description or I'll show it here on the screen after we're done watching it. Okay, so let's watch it.
How to copy the right way.
Now, first off the bat, how to copy the right way is the title of what Svetlana is going to be speaking about. I have issues already with the title.
There are two types of copying. Bad copying, when someone takes another person's idea or trick, simply repeats it, and claims it as their own. This shows no respect for the original creator and ignores creative ethics. Respectful copying, when someone is inspired by another's idea, works on it, adapts it, adds their own twist, and even develops it further. In this case, copying becomes a tool for learning and creating something new. Why is respectful copying great? It's a way to honor the original creator and show that their idea inspired something bigger. If you adapt someone's trick and use it as inspiration, it's...
So Svetlana is talking about the difference between what she believes bad copying is and what she believes good copying is. We're going to finish it and I'm going to come back with some commentary and some critique for this position.
It's awesome to thank the author and even acknowledge them publicly. It's a sign of respect and support for the creative community. How to avoid plagiarism and make it your own. Think about how someone else's idea could work for you. Adapt it to your style, skills, and way of performing. Add your own touch, something new and unique that makes the trick truly yours. Simply repeating and claiming someone else's ideas as your own, that's lame. Copying is a form of learning and growth. That's cool, but only if you put in the effort to make something original. Inspiration, yes. Plagiarism, no. How to copy the right...
So I want to actually leave it on this last screen about inspiration and plagiarism, because I would like to talk about copying. And I'm not going to give too much away because copying is something that Carmine and I will be discussing in our Essence Ethics workshop, body view workshop. But I specifically want to give commentary in the context of this video, okay? From my perspective as an artist, and as just a black ass human being. So inspiration and plagiarism are two completely different schools of belief and thought in my book. Plagiarism is about an action taken. Inspiration is about an idea given. It's metaphysical. Inspiration is great. Inspiration is great. How an idea comes to you, or a thought, a revelation, an aha moment. Inspiration is amazing. It can inspire you to action. Yeah. And at that point, it becomes motivation, right? Like inspiration into motivation and inspiring and persuading you into action. I think the line that gets really thin for me is the motive behind the action. So when you get an idea and that idea is mused up by someone else because you've seen them, heard them, witnessed them, observed them do something that has lit a fire in you and impassioned you to an action, what's the motive behind it? So these are questions that I often ask. And while we can't know everyone's motive, we can see the impact of an action and behavior and activity. So for instance, as Savannah pointed out, she says good copying is when you are inspired by someone and you take their movement and you build upon it in some sort of way, right? I think that is called learning. They're mirroring someone is called education. I think there is a thin line between freely sourcing people who consent to teaching you for free and providing free education, and people who are actually offering education through transaction. So no, it's still not ethical to be inspired to learn something by someone who is offering that thing as education through a transaction of goods exchange, service exchange, money exchange. It's still not ethical to learn something from someone who is actually offering that education in a way that is transactional. So we're getting really nuanced about what is and what ain't lame and whack, right? When people are posting on Instagram, you can tell, or you should be able to tell, and people will willfully try to be obtuse about certain things. You can tell who is trying to sell you something, who is offering you an opportunity to learn, and who is sharing simply because they want to disseminate information or education, right? Free tutorial, da, 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 da. Like those are indicators that this is something that people want you to take and run with. They're giving it to you for free, or they're giving it to you not for free. They're giving it to you in exchange for your attention. I should stop saying free because rarely is anything free. When people post tutorials on Instagram, on YouTube, that information is in exchange for your attention. You give your attention to this person, and they in return get a like, a follow, a subscription, a save, engagement with their posts that furthers their reach, or that tells the algorithm that this is good and profitable, right? So there's a nuance there between, is it okay? This is a question. Is it okay for someone to be inspired by someone's movement who is offering that movement in a transactional way in a classroom setting, in a workshop setting, in a teaching setting, whether that's in person or virtual? Is it okay for you to be inspired and to copy simply because they posted it on Instagram or on YouTube in promotion of the thing that they're offering? That's a question. I'm not going to answer it. I have an opinion about it. I mean, I feel like y'all should know what my opinion about that is. So, as a student, copying can be helpful. Yes. Can be ethical even. Yes, because you're learning. But if a teacher sets a firm boundary about said thing that they are showing you, then you as an individual have to negotiate whether or not you can consent to that. And if you can't consent to it, that's not the problem of your instructor or the person that posted it or whatever. That's your issue. And then you have to reconcile with yourself how you will move forward and behave or act, or what you will do after that. If this person is someone you could continue to follow, regardless of if you love them, like them, admire them, adore them, because we all have different levels of consent and what our boundaries are, right? So Savannah also talks about plagiarism. And here are some lines that I want to draw in terms of, like, I feel there are a lot of things that I disagree with in this video, and maybe if it was longer it would be more nuanced, but it's not longer. So it has to be simplified. But this thing about, taking someone's, let's find it so that I can just, good copying, right?
Idea, works on it, adapts it, adds their own twist, and even develops it further. In this
Okay, so Silvana talks about copying someone's trick, movement, whatever, adapting it and pushing it further. I think that there are some nuances here because as a student, absolutely, absolutely innovate on top of what you're given from your teachers. I think the slippery slope starts to come in when you want to monetize it. Okay, we back. So sound went out. We good. We Gucci. Was talking about Slitvana in this idea of what does it mean to take something and develop it further, right? Like, oh, I saw this thing on Instagram and I really liked it, and I'm working on it in my own practice and I want to develop it further. Again, is it from somebody who's doing a free tutorial? Is it from somebody who is offering a free class, excuse me, a paid transactional class? What's happening there, right? These are questions to ask, right? Questions to ask. If you've been taking a class and you think that you're qualified at some point to teach a certain movement because you've innovated on top of it, where is the line that says this is something that's completely different from what I learned? And if it's completely different from what you learned, it deserves its own identity. If it's completely different from the initial thing that was learned and you copied it, adapted it, innovated upon it, it deserves its own identity. But you know what happens? There's something that happens within the pole community when shit like this goes on, where someone thinks that they've innovated upon a certain move or a certain thing, and they want to introduce it as a service or an offering of education to other people to learn, and they want to make money from that opportunity. There's something that happens, and it's an endemic phenomenon that I kind of won't even get into here because I think that it deserves uh, a lot more words than I'm willing to put in this video because I'm already at 45 minutes. But I think Carmine and I will talk more about that in essence ethically, about the delineation of thought and belief and process, and how people will, instead of be different, they will want to be the same because it's easier to market. It's easier to be the same. It's more lucrative to be the same, even when though the two things are not the same. But we'll get into that in the workshop. But I just wanted to bring up this thing about copying, because this shit comes around like every 2 years, and we have to have conversations online about it. And I'm just like, at what point do we not simplify this shit? Like, at what point do we give it the just thought and critical thinking that it deserves? Because it's a lot more nuanced than just good copying and bad copying. It's a lot more nuanced than inspiration and plagiarism. There are a lot more things going on in the background. Scarcity, marginalization, gender violence. There are a lot more things. Exceptionalism. There are a lot more things going on in the background besides plagiarism and copying. There are things going on. Racism is happening in the background of a lot of the shit. Who gets to determine what? Who gets to own what? Who gets to disseminate what? It's a lot of shit going on. But we off that. We got to get to our last thing that I wanted to talk about so that I can get off of here and I can go eat me some chips because it's cold. I might even get on the pole. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about is these posts that are coming out of across the pond, coming out of Europe and the UK. So came across my desk, and I really want to talk about this shit. Came across my desk. Trigger warning, content warning. We are going to talk about trans identities, and these messages do include some discriminatory practices, okay, and a lot of bigoted beliefs and microaggressions. So I'm not going to go through the entire, I'm not going to read this word for word. The account that posts this is up there, but I just want to say that excuse me, had to sneeze. I just want to say that the pole community is not so far removed from racism, whorephobia, gender violence, policing, and other things that are that come along with the territory of people gathering together. Misconduct, a lot of misconduct when people come together and commune around ideas, beliefs, activities, philosophies, whatever. But something that I have witnessed and observed is the amount of gender misconduct that happens. And it's not, while this particular context of this post is gender misconduct with a trans identified person, there's also a lot of gender misconduct amongst heteronormative identities. And it gets blown off because people assume that because you are heteronormative, that you don't have an individualized identity as well. And that's just something that I want to call in and call out, because while organizations have the right to exclude whoever it is that they want to, I think that it is unfair to everybody who's listening or who will watch this to demand inclusion from people who never wanted to include you. And that is a very hard pill to swallow, because people want to enjoy things. People want to eat cake. They want to belong. But when you're working within an industry that's already suffered a lot of gender violence and already has an orientation towards womanhood and what it means to be a woman, you're going to come across people who are upholding the patriarchal standards of what it means to be a woman. And when people behave differently than what they feel like a cis hetero or even a leftist liberal woman should behave, you're going to see a lot of misconduct. And so I talk about transing spaces, not just identities, but transing spaces, transing mindsets, transing even geographical locations. I've talked about this with my trans friend Maj on 400 Degrees of Erotic Funk. That is up on the Substack, and I like to not um, to not be doubling myself. Go listen to that. Like, go listen to this, because I think that we are in a pivotal moment in not just history, but like within what we call this activity of pole and dancing and movement, to redefine and reshape and transform how we do things. And that only happens by consensus. Not one person, not two people, a group of people deciding we're going to do things differently. Only happens by consensus. Now, whether we do things differently peacefully or whether we do things differently violently, that's the decision, again, that is made consensually. One individual, one thought leader, one advocate, one is not going to change this. A whole bunch of people ganging up underneath someone's post and posting their personal opinions is not going to change it. Collective action requires a consensus of this is what we vow to do and commit to do it. Yeah, okay. So I'm coming up on my hour, but I know that there are not a lot of people here, but I want to open, well, the chat is obviously open. Questions, thoughts, feedback, any of that. I think for me, particularly because I am a bit of a segregationist when it comes to schools of thought, not based on sort of identities. I am for excluding people based on their identities, especially when we get to care sometimes, because there are certain spaces, places that people need to have for their specific identity because they need a specific type of care, right? If you specialize in a certain modality, and you have people, let's just say I specialize in tricks, right? You come to a tricks class, like, you're not going to sit here and like be like, well, I'm a floor worker, so I'm not going to do no pole work. I'm gonna be like, well, what you come to this class for? So in some ways, like, yes, I'm going to exclude you based on like, this isn't for you, right? So if it's not for you, I'm going to exclude you. And yes, again, it becomes a pain point when we get to talking about political identities and self-determined identities, the way in which we make up ourselves and the way in which the world makes us up. It gets a little tricky when we start talking about that, but everything seems to feel like it's on fire, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. You want to know why I'm okay with it? I'm okay with it because it allows us to have conversations like this and to be very critical about the way in which we are showing up in our activity within these different spaces. Because sending healing and sending love and sending sending good vibes, and oh, I just want to have fun. I just want us to all get along. Like, okay, yes, but that comes with collective action and looking at our behaviors and the ways in which we are actively engaging certain spaces, the spaces that we're supporting and the spaces that we're giving attention to, whether or not we support them or not. Because what you give attention to grows. The reason why the wildfires in LA are doing what they do is because they have oxygen and lots of it, lots of good wind to support um, the flames continuing to burn. And so what you continue to give breath to, what you continue to contribute your attention to is going to just magnify, good, bad, or indifferent. Um, okay. I think I spoke my mind. I think I got a lot of shit off my chest. A lot of things are coming up for uh shit that I'm involved in. I want to give shouts out to those things. So let's do that. On God, there's so many things going on in my head that I have to actually pull up a damn calendar just to tell y'all about what's going on. Tomorrow is body basing. That class is at 11:30 a.m. On the 29th, Carmine and I will be doing a Essence Ethically class. This is a body view class. Anybody that has taken a body view class with me before, we get into the shits. Like, if you thought that this was very insightful, we get into the shits. And it's not just about like me lecturing and Carmine seminaring. Like, we're going to have conversation, but also I love to sort of incorporate movement at some point in those sessions. So and sometimes it happens for a moment. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all. Sometimes it's me showing examples of things on the screen, just like how I'm showing you an example of this post right here. So you can register for that on performancetemple.com. I will put the link somewhere so that you can have access to it. Same thing also is going on. We are having a pop out. We're having a revelatory expose exhibition experience. Y'all know how Havalor does it. Lake Cabernet Noir has opened and will be celebrating that this coming February, the weekend of Valentine's Day and President's Day. So come out. I will be posting links to that show and experience. I would appreciate your support in the form of your presence to be there. There will be a show. There will be workshops, so you can get your life. Okay. Other things that are going on besides that, in Atlanta, you can personally rent the Le Cabernet Noir space for your artistic and creative endeavors or your training. There are several different spaces that we have available. There's a pole space, there is a cyclorama space, there is a parlor, and there is the champagne corner. So all of those spaces will be available for personal rental. If there are any commercial endeavors, and when we say commercial, we're talking about professionals, photographers, videographers, cast, crew, production, that want to rent the space, send us an email. The Instagram is right here. But if this conversation is not inspired you, like intrigued you to the point where you're like, man, maybe I need to check myself. Like, what are my beliefs? How are my beliefs coming out in my activities? How are my beliefs coming out in my behaviors? What is actually my attitude towards the digital space and how I'm handling the digital space? Because people, like, it's the season for triggers, y'all. It's the season for triggers. It's the season for people burning down their own goddamn house to stay warm. And then once it gets hot, people gonna be looking out and being like, damn, I don't have no house. Well, yeah, you burned down your house to stay warm without any sort of action or strategic plan to ensure that you had shelter to protect yourself. That's the season that we're in right now. And I think from a spiritual perspective, a lot of the things that we're seeing that's happening naturally are metaphysical signals and signifiers for the things that are happening within our psyches, within our spiritual lives, within our communities. You ain't telling me nothing. Like, Russia and Ukraine are still at war. The Palestinian people are still being oppressed and genocide. The Congolese people are still being oppressed and genocide. Like, all of these things are still going on. There are people in the United States who are protesting with violence because of the maltreatment that they are receiving in this country, and for the excessive consumptive nature that this country continues to perpetuate in both being consumptive towards consumers and people who are supporting these businesses, and being consumptive in towards land and people groups, extracting labor from people without giving them their just pay, increasing prices of goods and that people need to survive. And so we find ourselves in a very interesting situation where we have all of these freedoms, all of this technology, all of these ways to communicate and to be together. But we continue to perpetuate things that don't necessarily align with what our attitudes are, what we actually want out of life, because it's comfortable, it's convenient, and radical change requires struggle. And while we never recognize those people who are struggle or who do struggle to even get to a place where they can effectuate change or be recognized, we take advantage of them too. So I hope that anybody who's watching this or who will watch it in the future is intrigued and motivated and hopefully radicalized. Because I don't speak just to inform on some like, oh, so that you're aware. I speak to inform so that you are radicalized into action and possibly changed attitudes, beliefs, behaviors. I I'm not trying to persuade you of nothing. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. You can do your research for your own self, and I will give you resources to do that. You can disagree with me, that's fine. But I will end this again with the words of Jared Ball, Dr. Jared Ball. Peace, but only if you're willing to struggle for it. I'll see y'all either in virtual space, in a class, or in my presence this coming February.